it doesn't matter what they do or what they change. People just don't like change. For example, did you ever try to get old people to work a computer?
I try to get my mom to do that every day. Sorry, Mom.
Listen, I try to help my mom too, and I'll even repeat it over to her like 20 times, and she still won't understand it. Like, people just don't like change. They don't like change. You know, nothing is going to ever be what it once was. People have to get over that. I don't like it when they do updates every couple of days on my cell phone with the Android. They have updates that come up like every other day or every day, and it totally, like, it's a pain in the ass. Now I have to upload everything. And it's such a pain in the rear end. Like, nobody likes change. I don't like it, but you know what? It's going to happen whether we like it or not. So we just have to go with the flow. That's my point. That's my personal opinion on it. Do I think the title is ugly? Yeah, I think all the titles are ugly. I like the design from back in the day. I don't like change, but you know what? I go with it. I'm not gonna bitch and complain about it either.
You're speaking of the Winged Eagle championship belt from the 80s, correct?
I like that, but I'm talking like old school, like territories, like the original Hulk Hogan belt. Like, not the one that not that ugly green title that Hogan had after he beat Iron Sheik. I'm talking about the one after that.
Those almost look like more like boxing belts.
Similar to the Intercontinental title, but it's actually better. It's a little bigger too, you know. There was like two other ones that were actually like that, and they were actually decent titles. Even the World Heavyweight title was great. I mean, I was hoping they'd bring that back even, but nope, they didn't. I mean, even if they touch it up a little bit, but make it somewhat look like the old titles, like a little bit. I mean, come on, that. But you know what? It's not up to me, and nobody cares about my opinion. You know, at least nobody in WWE cares about my opinion, especially Vince McMahon, because he hates me. But that's beside the point, you know. And the reason Vince McMahon hates me is because on my old podcast from years ago, I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you guys remember the Unrated Hour on Blog Talk Radio.
I remember it.
Well, then I'm pretty sure you know why Vince McMahon hates my guts.
Let's just say a lot of the stuff that was said on that show can't be repeated here.
Now let's just exactly. Now let's just say that, and this is no bull either. We had over 10,000 live listeners per episode and over 100,000 downloads per episode. We were the hottest thing on Blog Talk Radio history, and I'm pretty sure to this day even too. But we got to the point where it was so bad, like we were so controversial that even though we had a parental advisory warning at the beginning of our show, and even though we said Blog Talk Radio had nothing to do with the views and opinions of what we were talking about, they were still catching heat from it, and they decided to shut our show down because they kept telling us that, you know, we have to change, we have to change, we have to change. I said, I don't have to change. We have parental advisories all over it. You're not going to get sued. You can't get sued. We already said the views and opinions reflect on us, not you. So if they're going to come after anybody, they're going to come after us. I was like, but they're not. You know why? Because they're full of it. They just want something to complain about. And I tried to express this to them. I said, do you understand the reason why the ratings are so high is because people hate us. And when people hate you, they listen to you more than the people who like you. Does this make sense to you guys?
Maybe that's what we got to do to get people to start tuning into Sports Entertainment Tonight. We got to say, screw all of you people out there.
But this is the thing, though. And it's like, you know, but this is why our show got shut down. But it was, you know, we were way controversial. We said a lot of messed up things. We didn't even believe half the stuff that we even said. We just said it because we knew it would get people's attention, and boy, did it work. But I kind of miss hosting my own radio show. I just don't have time for it anymore, though. That's the only thing. But, I mean, honestly, though, people don't like change. Getting back to the topic, people just don't like change, and they have to get over it, plain and simple.
Yeah, because
next question.
Yeah, because just recently we were talking about Hell in a Cell. I think it was last week. We were discussing a little bit about it, and a friend of the show, his name is Osiris. He was very upset over the way that the women's Hell in a Cell match, the way that WWE worked it, the way that the match went. But first off, they're setting
Vince blamed Sasha for that.
Really?
Yeah, they had an article.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, they had an article in the Bleacher Report about it. Vince blamed Sasha for the Hell in a Cell
You guys believe
ending.
what you read on the Bleacher Report? You're kidding me, right?
Yeah, well, like, the guy's links to like Pro Wrestling Report and all that. Yeah.
Well, there was.
Did you guys ever hear the term, don't believe everything you read on dirt sheets?
Yeah, I was just saying there was an article.
Do you know what they said about me on dirt sheets?
I dare to ask, but I will. What did they say?
Said that all right, well, I could say this because it's not a four-letter word. So they said that I turned down sex from Paris Hilton. That was a good one. That was my personal favorite one. They said that I stole $20 from Tammy Sitch. Now, I'm sorry, if you're going to make me out to be a thief, say I stole $500 or $1,000. Make it believable. Don't say I stole $20. What am I, a crackhead? What the hell am I get for $20? Really?
Yeah, I don't think she needs your money anymore either.
That was a good. Yeah, that one would have really made you laugh. That was a good one. I remember that one. And let's see. I mean, I can go on all day with all the stuff that they made up about me. I mean, but my two personal favorites was those two right there. I mean, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, had the reputation a little bit, you know. I'm like $500, $1,000. If people hear Vinny the Guido stole $20, what does that say about Vinny the Guido? He's a cheapskate.
Exactly. I mean, that's like, and you know, I didn't even get mad at that. I mean, people would think that I get mad at that. No, dude, are you kidding? That was entertainment for me. I thought it was hysterical. I mean, I think they could be a little more creative than that. I mean, hell, I mean, my son, my 15-year-old son, is more creative than that. Like. You don't understand. Like, my 13-year-old son even is more creative than that. I mean, my kids are smart boys. I mean, I can guarantee you they're smarter than anybody who lives in their mother's basement putting stuff on dirt sheets, you know. But I mean, I wasn't even mad. I kind of thought it was funny, to be honest. Everyone's like, "You're not mad about it?" I go, "Hell no, that's pretty funny, actually." Well, it's only funny because I know what the truth is, and you know, and everybody believes it. Then they're just as stupid as the person who wrote it. So.
Well, speaking of things that your kids are more creative than, Monday Night Raw this week.
Ooh.
How about that, Nick? Huh? Vinny, was that a good segue?
Believe it or not, I was busy this whole week. It was my birthday weekend, believe it or not.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Well, I was in Glasgow, Scotland for Raw and SmackDown.
Older,
I think that's for everybody, including myself, man.
Listen, everybody wants to celebrate my birthday. Everybody wants me to celebrate my birthday but me.
I think it happens to all of us when we get up in age.
People just need excuses to drink. That's the thing. But, you know. I was like, you don't need an excuse. You drink anyway. What do you need an excuse for? I tell them, you know. But yeah, it was my birthday weekend, and basically, you know, spending time with my fiance, my kids, my family, and stuff. Took my son to Six Flags, you know, on Election Day. I took him to Six Flags, great adventure. You know, so I spent time with the family and my fiance and hanging out with my friends all week and everything. Just yesterday, I helped my friend move to Florida because she had to, you know, she was moving to Florida. So, you know, I had to help her pack up the truck and everything before she moved and stuff. So this whole week I've been busy. I didn't get a chance to even look at the TV. Thank God DVR exists, right, fellas?
Yeah. Well, one of the best things about Monday Night Raw, and I think we're all in agreement about this one, is Chris Jericho and the list of Jericho. I mean, ever since Jericho, I always find that Jericho, creatively, he's more entertaining as a heel. And ever since he debuted the list of Jericho, it's been one of the most over things on Monday Night Raw today.
Yeah, and you know what that means, don't you? That means they're going to turn him face soon.
Yeah, definitely, and have him feud.
They're going to. I mean, he may not want to, but they're going to tell him he's going to turn face now that everybody's cheering for him. So that's the downside to that, you know?
Yep, definitely.
I'm sorry, but you're not doing your job. If you're a heel, you're supposed to get booed, not cheered.
Thank you.
You know, like, if you're a face, you're supposed to get cheered, not booed. So WWE's smart. If they notice people are cheering for somebody, they're going to make them face. You know, they're going to make them face. If they're on the mid card, because, you know, once you make it to like the high card, like, you know, the top of the card or whatever, you know, where Vince McMahon believes in you, and like for example, John Cena and Roman Reigns, no matter how much they get booed, they'll always be face. But usually the rule of thumb is if you get booed, you go heel, and if you get cheered, you go face. That's just the rule of thumb usually. But Vince McMahon has so much money, it doesn't really matter what people think. So he's going to run no matter what.
What role would you say the internet wrestling community has in the direction the product goes with WWE?
Say that again one more time.
What role, if any, do you believe the internet wrestling community or the IWC has in the direction that Vince McMahon goes with the product?
Well, I have to say it works well with NXT because Triple H, actually listens to the internet wrestling community. But Vince McMahon doesn't really give two monkey craps what the internet wrestling community thinks. Sometimes, believe it or not, to make the women's main event for Hell in a Cell, it took Triple H to do a lot of convincing to Vince to get him to change his mind. But Vince, of course, had that stipulation. Okay, I'll give in. But now instead of Sasha winning, we're going to make Charlotte win.
Which would explain...
Because originally Sasha was supposed to win that match.
Yeah, which explains why...
The ultimatum, Vince made he made a compromise where he will make the women's match the main event, the very last match, but it wasn't going to be Sasha going over in her town. So, but that's if you believe everything you read on the dirt sheets. I'm just going by what people are telling me that they read on the dirt sheets, and then they send it to me, and then I look at it because I click on the link that they send me. So, once in a blue moon, if I'm bored and I have nothing else better to do, and sometimes I like to laugh and look at the ridiculous stuff on the dirt sheets, then I'll actually go on it and read it. But that in particular thing somebody sent me in a Facebook message. And why people feel the need to send me this stuff is beyond me, but they send it to me anyway.
Well, speaking of ridiculous stuff...
They send it to me, they send it to me as if I actually care. But no.
Well, speaking of ridiculous stuff, how about Monday Night Raw from Glasgow, Scotland, Nick? How blatantly obvious that WWE was going to have Seth Rollins as the fifth member of the Raw Survivor Series team. Technically, they tipped their hands last week at the end of the main event last week.
Yeah. Surely, big surprise.
Yep. Shocking.
Yeah, but what about...
But you know what it is? The thing is that wrestling is just so predictable. Like, everybody saw that coming. I didn't even watch it, and I knew that was going to happen. It's so predictable nowadays. It has been for a long time, actually, now, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I hark back to what I used to say for a long time. When wrestling becomes predictable, it becomes boring because then there's no shock value, there's no entertainment value, there's really no reason. When we see this is going to happen, then why watch it?
Exactly.
Well, it boils down to they're on TV too much.
Well, technically.
They have too many hours to write for.
Yeah, but what about the advent of the main event, which was the Fatal 5-Way with the Raw Survivor Series men's team?
Yeah, it was a good way to kind of... I just don't necessarily get why they're putting so many people that are in feuds as tag team members in the Survivor Series.
Yeah,
because all the teams are going to be fighting within each other, pretty much.
Yeah, if you think about it on...
You know what it is, though? They want it to be like how it was with Kane and Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, or whatever you want to call him. It's the
Cesaro
same
and
thing as
Sheamus?
that.
Yeah, and it can coexist.
I didn't think that was going to work, and it did. So I guess they're trying to use the same formula, only with Sheamus and
Cesaro?
Cesaro. Yeah.
Now, do you think it has the potential to work?
If Kane and Bryan, I'm so used to calling Bryan Danielson. If Kane and Daniel Bryan did it, then I think it is possible. Fans are marked for that shit, you know that. They love comedy, But the problem is Vince McMahon doesn't really put the major strap on people who have comedy characters, if you noticed.
Which, speaking of mid-card titles, it appears that some of the major matches at Survivor Series, the singles matches, are going to be the Intercontinental and the Cruiserweight Challenge, which are going to be basically inter-promotional matches. And it's looking like they might end up switching the titles for the Cruiserweight titles to SmackDown and Intercontinental Championship to Raw.
I mean, you have to understand, Brian Kendrick just got the title, okay? They're not going to make him lose it right away. And especially, they're not going to bring it to the SmackDown brand because that's 2 hours, where Raw is 3 hours.
Well, here's the deal, though. They're filming the 205 Live on Tuesday nights after SmackDown.
Yeah, on starting November 29th, they'll have the 205 Live, which will be a cruiserweight-only show for WWE.
Yeah, that's true, but then it wouldn't be the SmackDown brand. It would be its own brand.
True.
Yeah.
CWC brand.
I mean, they could still have them appear.
That's why this doesn't make any sense to me. You know, that's exactly why it doesn't make. Because if they're coming out with that show, which I knew about, by the way, then it's not going to be on a specific brand. It's going to have its own show at that point, correct?
Yes.
Kind of like NXT. Kind of like NXT.
Kind of like the XFL.
Oh, God. You went there.
That was like a one season and done thing, so.
Right. Which actually ESPN's doing a 30 on 30 on the XFL.
WBF, you forgot about that one.
Oh, you heard that? ESPN is doing a 30 on 30 on the XFL.
Are they really?
Yes. Yes.
I wonder if they're going to have Ico Pro on it.
He hate me.
Yeah, he hate me.
Oh, man.
Their biggest star, and he wasn't even that good. It was just, he hate me.
To quickly go over Monday Night Raw, in the first match, it was Rich Swann and Sin Cara taking on Brian Kendrick in the debut of Noam Dar, and they were in Scotland, so Scotland was Dar's hometown, or home country, rather.
Well, of course, they're going to put Dar on it. That's his hometown, so yeah.
Yeah, but it was actually Swann with the victory rope pin on Brian Kendrick once again. So that's the second week in a row that somebody went over on the Cruiserweight champion. Last week, before Kendrick got the title, Swann went over on him, and now they put the title on him, and then the very next night, he goes over on Kendrick once again. So I don't understand the logic behind that, or lack thereof of logic.
It's called the heel logic, and I'll tell you why they do that, okay? This is like an inside secret, maybe. I don't know how long you guys have been around the business or not, but this is kind of like an inside secret. It's a lot easier to do this to the heels than the faces. You know, when a heel has a title, they do a lot of non-title matches because the heel says, "Oh, I don't have to defend it. The person didn't earn it," and blah blah blah. So if they get a bunch of people to pin him while it's non-title, now they have contenders or potential contenders for the future for that title. It's a lot easier to do it that way, to build a storyline that way, because then they can say, "Oh, well, I pinned him, but, you know, I never got my title opportunity," and then it lines up people. It's a lot easier to do that with a heel than it is a face. To do that with a face can't say, oh, I'm not going to defend it, because faces are supposed to want to defend their title every match, you know? Like, for example, John Cena.
Yeah, with the United States Championship Open Challenge that he had every week.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to do that. I know to the normal person it doesn't really make sense to do that, but as a promoter, it makes all the sense in the world that the person's heel to do that. So I understand the logic. Do I agree with it? I don't care. I'm not a promoter. So, you know.
Looking back at Monday Night Raw, Nick, what the hell was the New Day wearing?
The Braveheart, man.
They were doing a Braveheart thing.
Freedom!
It appeared.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, that was this week?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a facepalm moment, huh?
Yeah, I just did it about 30 seconds ago. You're just thinking about it. But I like the idea of what they're doing now with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Basically, you know, they're sticking to the heel gimmick. They're
The
sticking.
Bruisers.
Yes.
Yeah,
you know,
and they said at
serious.
any chance they get that they're going to stab every one of them in the back at Survivor Series, and I kind of like that. You know, that
I like it too. I'll tell you why I like it. Because it's giving them, they're not putting the titles on them right away, which usually sometimes WWE does, and then it ends up fading out, and then they end up going to mid-card status, which is never good. most people that get the title right away end up at mid-card status somewhere down the line, and then they stay there and they don't leave. You know, that's the problem. I mean, I think what they're doing is actually good with them in this case. They're not giving them the titles right away, but they're still making them title contenders like they're in the picture. And they're making them build up to when they finally get the titles, it'll actually mean something. So I think that is smart, which is rare to hear me say that WWE is actually doing something smart for once, but that is actually pretty smart.
Now the question now becomes, is WWE being a little bit too blatantly obvious they're having the New Day break Demolition's tag team title record?
Well, I think they're going to finally do it. I just, like, I don't know if they're going to. I mean, I don't know. For all we know, Vince could say, last minute, guess what? We're going to make them lose it right before it so they don't actually break it, just so people can get pissed off and people will talk about it. That actually makes sense, too, even though it really sucks. But because, like I said, when people start talking negative about something, they start talking about the product, and more people are going to watch now to see, you know, what they're talking about. So
yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good idea. No matter, you know, whether it's positive or negative, you're still talking about the product. Whether, you know, whether we like the product or not, we still watch it every week to find out what's going on and to have something to talk about on this show.
But let's be real. Negative publicity is better than good publicity. People pay more attention to negativity than positive, unfortunately.
Oh,
That's
God.
just the way it is.
Chris, LEC in the chat room, what the hell is your problem?
He's being sarcastic.
I know that.
Yeah.
This is his comment, Vinny. He says, I still live in my mom's basement, Hillary for life.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of which, since Trump won the election, WWE stock went up 5%.
Yeah. I bet Vince McMahon's like, yeah.
Well, it helps to have a friend that's the
Guys,
president.
I have a question for you. When you look at dirt sheets, okay, because I know you guys look at dirt sheets. I know you guys do. Don't deny it. You guys look at dirt sheets.
I do.
You mentioned the Bleacher Report.
I use eWrestling News is what I go to.
All right, but you guys read dirt sheets. That's my point. Anyway, listen. So my question to you is, when you're looking at dirt sheets, do you look at all the bad, like, do you skip over the good news and just go straight to the bad news, like the really juicy stuff, or do you actually read the good news?
I for one, actually read the good news. You know, whether it's like upcoming DVDs.
So there are some people that do. I just don't know whether you guys do or not, but there's a very select few that actually do. Most people just skip right over it.
Yeah, I like to view all news as news to me. You know, I don't really differentiate whether it's good or bad. If it's news worth reporting, then that's what we're going to talk about on here. You know, because one of the things we didn't get to talk about last week, Nick, was the fact that Ronda Rousey has been hinting about training to become a WWE superstar.
She's going to fight one more time, and then she's retiring from fighting.
Yeah, she made that announcement. I think it's UFC 207.
Yes.
On December 30th, I think it is.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so she said that that's her last fight, and TMZ did catch up to Stephanie McMahon, and they asked her about that, and Stephanie's response was, hell yeah, she would really love to have Ronda Rousey in the WWE. Can you just kind of imagine for a second Ronda Rousey in the women's division on a Monday Night Raw? That would be a huge draw in itself, wouldn't it?
Yeah, she'd be better than Brock Lesnar.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Especially if she gets a contract like Brock Lesnar, absolutely.
Yeah. I think she'd be better than Lesnar.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, Hillary Clinton is going to be her manager.
So, speaking of your favorites there, Billy, I saw Tom Phillips join the announce team for SmackDown.
Now, Vinny, you know how I'm a stickler for good commentary, right? Since I've been a commentator for 7.5 years. Although some people on the internet say, well, if you don't go to journalism school, you're not a real commentator. And I got a gesture for you, but I'm not going to show it to you on TV. Tom Phillips is probably the only commentator in all of WWE worse than Michael Cole. I mean, to me, commentary should have a good blend of actual move calling and telling the story. You know, and In the 7 years that I've done it.
I have to say about Michael Cole, I mean, the storyline he did with Jerry Lawler before Jerry had his heart attack, I thought was actually good. But then, of course, kayfabe was broken after Jerry had his heart attack, so they pushed Michael Cole to be face at that point. But I thought the storyline they did with Cole and Jerry Lawler was actually pretty funny. I mean, it wasn't good wrestling. I mean, but it was entertaining. It was funny. You know, like, I'm a sucker for comedy. I love comedy. Like, I think that's entertaining as hell. Like, do I like the product? You know, compared to the way it was in the 80s and where there was actually, I'd rather watch wrestling, but wrestling nowadays is just horrible, and it's all, you know, nobody sells anything anymore. Like, it's like, you know, they get hit with a giant, you know, they get hit with an awesome move, and they get right back up, and I'm like, totally like there's no psychology in wrestling anymore. The only thing that has psychology now is storylines. So I have to be entertained by the storylines because the wrestling is garbage to me. Until they start bringing it back the way they did it in the 80s where they actually sold moves, and early 90s where they actually sold moves before they started doing all this crap now, I have to enjoy the storylines now more than the wrestling because they leave me no choice to. It's ridiculous. It completely boggles my mind that they have no ring psychology anymore. And it just aggravates the crap out of me.
I will say this, though.
The storyline with Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler, I have to say, that was like the last entertaining thing Michael Cole ever did. So, you know.
When I want to rate commentators, I got to say best voice in WWE right now, hands down, is Mauro Ranallo. I mean, this guy on SmackDown Live.
I think his voice is annoying as hell, if you ask my opinion.
Really?
Well, I think the content is the best.
I think he's better for mixed martial arts than he is wrestling. In my opinion, I think he's great for mixed martial arts. For WWE, I don't think so. I think he's better for mixed martial arts. He's a great commentator for mixed martial arts. I just don't think he fits with wrestling. I just don't. I don't know why. I just have that gut, you know?
I think one person they should bring back is Rich Brennan. I think he was unfairly let go by WWE when he was play-by-play commentator for NXT. He was absolutely phenomenal at his job, and I think he had a short-lived run as a SmackDown play-by-play announcer, and they got rid of him for Tom Phillips, and to me, that's a level down, because let's just say this. Let me put this in perspective for everybody, and Vinny, I think you'll understand it when I say this. Mike Adamle was a much better commentator than Tom Phillips.
Jeff Harvey?
No, Mike Adamle, the guy that used to do American Gladiators, and he came into WWE.
He called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey.
That was entertaining in itself.
Yeah, but what they're doing now with Tom Phillips.
That's great.
Yeah, what they're doing with Tom Phillips now, they have him as quote unquote the host of SmackDown, which was what Miz did when he first debuted in WWE, which was ridiculous in itself. And secondly, why does a wrestling show need a host?
Yeah, why do they need a mascot?
Dude, I'm still mad they got rid of Justin Roberts as the ring announcer.
Yeah, Justin Roberts was decent. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about JoJo. She's nice to look at and all that stuff. But Justin Roberts, to me...
Justin Roberts had a great ring announcer voice. I used to love Justin Roberts. Plus he was very humble, and he was really cool in person, too. So, you know, he's a nice guy. I don't know why they let him go.
But the fake story's the best.
Well, Chris,
I think he went on his own terms, actually.
Chris says, Finney makes me want to eat Cheetos and watch the Goonies. I don't. It's Vinny, not Finney. Vinny with a V, Chris. Vinny the Guido. Okay, just, you know, clarification. Speaking of clarification, I'm still going to go on record by saying I hate James Ellsworth. This guy, this no-chin idiot, is going to be one of the biggest clowns right now than Doink the Clown. I mean, this guy is just...
No disrespect to Matt Bourne. He was an awesome wrestler. An awesome psychologist.
And actually had a chin.
Yeah.
James Ellsworth looks like he was just...
Have you guys ever seen his work on the Indies?
No.
That's why you're saying that. He's pretty decent. He's actually pretty good. The thing, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have the body size for it, but, he he's a skin, you know, he looks like he's malnourished, and you know, he looks like he's a skinny anorexic dude, you know. But you know, but he has a marketable face. It's like he has that face that only a mother could love, but yet everybody likes him, and everybody's going to remember that face. Very marketable. I mean, hell, he sold a crap ton of shirts. And a crap, like everything when his stuff came out for WWE, it sold out in seconds. Like, this guy is marketable. It doesn't matter what he could do in the ring. It doesn't even matter. Dude, it doesn't matter. If it makes Vince money, it makes sense. Vince would be smart to hire him for that reason alone, that he's marketable. You have to understand, this is a business. People forget that pro wrestling is a business. It has to be treated as a business. If something's marketable, it's only smart to give that person a contract and let them sell the crap out of everything.
So would that be the reason why on SmackDown Live that they named James Ellsworth as the quote unquote mascot for the SmackDown Survivor Series team? Would doing that actually guarantee more buys for the? Absolutely. You may not like James Ellsworth, like to see him or anything like that, but he's marketable. And you have to understand Vince's mentality of making money. Vince is a smart businessman. I may not like him, but he's a smart businessman. I respect the fact that he's a smart businessman. I mean, look at his bank account and look at ours. He's a smart businessman, okay? Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, what I meant by if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. I mean, that's the thing. The guy is marketable. Vince would be dumb not to give him a contract. Okay, you have to understand it's a business, and I tell everybody who's new and a student coming into the business, you know, if you're in this business, if you're in the wrestling industry as a hobby, get out now. Don't waste anybody's time, because, you know, to me that's like a slap in the face to everybody who wants to make a business and make money off of something they love doing. This is a business. If you're not in it to make money, leave. It's a business. And then I hear people telling me, oh, well, you can't make money on the indies unless you make it to WWE or TNA. That's not true. If you market yourself well, you can make money on the indies without WWE or TNA or any major company. You don't need them to get. If you need them to get over, then you suck.
Nick, Chris has found you out.
What's that?
He says you're grading papers.
Oh, well.
Well, speaking of SmackDown Live, I got to say what I'm saying is, do you agree with that? Yeah.
You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. I'm just asking if you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
We can have a difference of opinion. It's cool. You know?
Yeah, I mean, because you see money in James Ellsworth. I just want to take him off the bottom of my shoe and scrape him off the side of the road. I
don't see money with him, but apparently what he's doing is working. So.
Yeah, no, we can't deny that. That's for sure. Yeah. But one thing we also can't deny is the level of female talent that has risen in WWE as of late, especially in particular the SmackDown Women's Championship with Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. That was a really, really good match, Nick, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, Alexa Bliss has been killing it, really the whole SmackDown roster. As far as the women, I think it's been much better than Raw.
Yeah, but
she's a good heel too.
Yeah, but the way they worked the finish, it was kind of controversial in the sense Becky Lynch had locked on the disarmer while Alexa Bliss had her foot on the bottom rope. Referee didn't see the foot on the bottom rope, but the only thing he saw was Alexa tapping out. Therefore, Becky wins and retains the championship. Do you see them going any further with this, or?
Of course they are.
Like for TLC or something like that?
Listen, because they see money in it, so of course they're going to continue it. They're not going to leave it at that. That's for sure. I mean, they'd be stupid to do that. The whole idea of doing this was to create more money for them. I mean, when you have female talent like that could sell pretty much decent merchandise, even more than some of the guys, then you got something there. And it's a lot better. I mean, honestly, they should have did this years ago. Was train women properly and have them wrestle. Like, if these women would have wrestled Lita back in the day or wrestled Trish Stratus back in the day, that would have made so much money.
Or Jazz.
Or Jazz, yeah.
She lives around here.
Ladies, but they didn't. But the problem with that is they didn't give the women enough TV time back then. They only thought of them as a sexual object, which is really pissed me off back then. Yes, it was nice to look at, but it wasn't, they didn't give them the proper respect that they deserved like they're giving the women now. If they wrestled now in their prime, forget it. If they would have had more TV time, forget it. They could have been even bigger than even they were. And they were pretty big, they had pretty big, solid names back then. They're Hall of Famers now, but they could have been even bigger if they debuted in this era. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, they should have did this a long time ago. And even though Vince is making a ton of money off of it now, I'm sure he's looking back and saying, man, I really dropped the ball. I could have been making money off of this whole time. He's right now, in his mind, he's thinking he lost money over the years. Even though he's making a ton of money now, he's thinking he could have had more back then. So he's a businessman. I know he's thinking that.
Well, speaking of women from that era,
say it, but that's what he's thinking.
But speaking of women from that era, it was very interesting you brought that up because it was announced just a few weeks ago on NXT at the next NXT Takeover pay-per-view, which is Toronto, I believe, which will be the night before Survivor Series, that Mickie James is making her return to WWE to take on Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, Vinny, I'm going to say one thing. First off, I love Asian women. I think they're gorgeous. And my favorite woman in NXT is Asuka. She's hot, she's dangerous, she's exotic, and she knows how to kick some butt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But now they're going to have her work with Mickie James. What do you expect out of that?
I think it's good. I mean, I wish they would keep Mickie around. I mean, they're just using this as a one-off to replace, what was it, Trish, I believe it was.
Yeah, she got pregnant again from what I heard.
Yeah, so she's taking her place. But I wish it wasn't just a one-off deal. Like, I think after they're done doing this match, I mean, another thing somebody sent me, which actually was one of my friends is a female because she's, huge Mickie James fan. She says, "Oh, well, when Mickie does this match, she's gonna be a trainer at WWE, but she's not. She's only doing one match though. But they're not gonna have her wrestle all the time. They're gonna have her be a trainer." I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm not there." It's like, you say this like I know, like I'm there. I'm not there. I don't know these.
That's according to the dirt sheets. Yeah.
That's what she said she read on the dirt sheets, and I'm going by what she said because I pay attention when people listen, especially women.
Well, if it is true, I think that would be a huge asset to the developing female talent that's training over in Orlando for NXT and WWE.
Oh, I think that would be a smart move too, but people want to see her wrestle too, but she can't do both. So, I understand if WWE is doing that, that would be a smart move instead of having her wrestle. But at the same time, people want to see her wrestle, man. They want to see her get the respect that she deserves before she retires, Like, that's just it. I understand the fans' perspective on that, but I also understand the business perspective on that, too. I see both sides of the fence on that. So I'm kind of divided on what they should do, and quite frankly, I don't care because it's not my money, so...
Well, speaking also of NXT this week, we got the finals now. We now know the finals for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic in TM61 taking on the Authors of Pain with Paul Ellering as their manager. What are your thoughts about Paul Ellering? Chris says Asian women can only have one. Chris, I'm not going to finish that statement. I'm not going to finish that statement.
I called Authors of Pain from the very beginning.
Yeah, but do you think that they would not be where they are right now in NXT if it wasn't for Paul Ellering as their manager?
I wouldn't say that. It just would have taken them a little longer to get to that status. But because of Paul Ellering, they're pushing them rather quickly. So, in a way, what they're doing with what they're basically doing with the Authors Authors of Pain is what Paul Heyman did with Brock Lesnar, only in NXT.
Yeah.
If you see the similar pattern, that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, I saw a different pattern than that. The pattern I saw was way back in the 80s, the Blade Runners. You know, Sting and Warrior. And when I look at Authors of Pain, you know, just put a little bit of face paint on them and take off the shield-looking garb that they have on, and that's the Blade Runners.
The Blade Runners were not fat. They were muscular.
Well, yeah, in a sense, but I said they were like the Blade Runners. I didn't say they were the Blade Runners.
I'm just messing with you guys. I just had to throw that out there. I figured it'd be funny. So.
Yeah. Now, trust me, when he's not grading papers, he gets me all the time. I trust.
But Vinny, I have a question for you.
Dude, I'm sorry, you walked right into that one.
Yeah, I did. After all the years I've known you, I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, dude, you got to know, you got to be careful what you say around me, because I will, you know, throw little jabs in there.
Mark has a question for you, Vinny.
Hold on. At least I'm doing it PG this time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely are. Mark has a question for you.
I've learned that
Sure, what's up, brother?
I learned that you're a manager, and I have a colleague in the wrestling business who's a manager. What's the best advice for him as being a manager?
Basically?
Yes.
I mean, I'll tell you, when
It's a different era, you know.
When I was a kid, my parents forced me to go to acting school and musical theater and all that crap, which I hated it back then. But in the long run, it actually did better for me because it taught me acting. It taught me how to be serious when I'm acting. Like, it taught me a lot of different things. It taught me comedy. It taught me a lot of things. I might have hated it as a kid, but I didn't know how much it really helped me until now. Like, it really helped me in the industry. I mean, I would take, like, acting class, because you have to understand, when you're a manager, you have to be the mouthpiece of the people that you represent. So you're going to be doing a lot of talking on microphones. You have to know how to do, and you have to learn how to do script. You have to learn how to read off of scripts. You have to know how to act off of scripts. Then you have to learn how to do things, you know, like on the fly. And that's basically what acting school does. So it helps you tremendously, especially with mic work, to go to acting school before you go to a wrestling school. Because you're already halfway there once you get your foot in the door with wrestling. And it helped me a lot. But the thing is that if you don't want to go to acting school, because some of them can be expensive, go to a wrestling school. It's just going to take you maybe a little bit longer to, but it's you have to understand, there's a lot of independent pro wrestling managers out there, but to be marketable as a manager is very hard to do because I'm not a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? So I had to work extra hard because with comedy, I figured if I use comedy in my work, that it will help, you know, get me over as well as get the person I'm working over. Like, my job is to get the people I'm working over or working against over. A manager's job is just that. We have to try not to take focus off of what's going on in the ring, but at the same time just do enough that people are going to remember me too. You know what I mean? So it's very hard to actually do that without actually putting yourself over and screwing up the match. So acting school, I would suggest. If they can't do it, you know, it's really hard, man. Like, it's not as easy as it looks. It's not. I mean, granted, we're not taking as many bumps as wrestlers, but you know, it's still it's a lot. You have to be really good talking. You have to be a good people person. You have to be very good. You got to have the gift of gab. That's number one. I mean, you can't teach the gift of gab. You either have it or don't. Just like salesperson, you either have it or you don't. You know what I mean? So, is your friend, I have to ask you this, is your friend a people person? Like, is he a friend, like...
He's a very people person, yes.
Is he like a hustler? Like, can he hustle? Can he sell himself?
Yeah, he pretty much can, yes.
And he could sell people he's going to represent to help get them over too, right?
Yes, he can.
well, then he could do it. It's just, you know, he's got to go to wrestling school because, you know, you can't just jump into wrestling without getting trained. Is he going to school now?
Yes, he is.
Oh, all right. Where's he training at?
He trains with Rodney Mack and Jazz.
Oh, Rodney's, oh, wow, yeah, that's good. Okay, good. Rodney knows psychology. I like Rodney Mack. He has really good psychology with him.
Yeah, I work with him and stuff. I travel with him.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are reaching the end of the show, but before we go, we're going to ask an all-important question this week. Raw versus SmackDown, who won this week? Nick?
SmackDown every week.
Yeah, SmackDown again.
I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to Monday Night Raw because I'm quite interested to see where they go now with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, concerning the fact in the Fatal 5-Way, it was Kevin Owens who fell on top of Chris Jericho after getting Superman punch and got the pin and got the win in the Fatal 5-Way. So I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to Monday Night Raw and a little bit of a downward spiral for SmackDown because I don't like Ellsworth. I couldn't be any more obvious. I couldn't be any more obvious about that than I have just right now. But that's going to do it for this week here on Sports Entertainment Tonight. Our very special guest, Vinny The Guido. Thanks to you. Vinny, where can fans check out more information about what you do?
Just go to, even though I have Twitter and I have, you know, all the other social things, I'm hardly ever on any of them. The only one I'm on basically is Facebook because, you know, that's all I really have time for because I'm always busy all the time. But Facebook, it's facebook.com/official Vinny The Guido. That's VINNY, not IE, just if you're looking it up. It's, again, I'll say it again, it's facebook.com/official Vinny The Guido. Also, if any promoters out there are interested in booking top name talent for your pro wrestling events, go to www.topofthelinetalentbookings.com. I did change the name to V.A.Z Enterprises as the company name, but I'm still using the topofthelinetalentbookings.com website. So, again, topofthelinetalentbookings.com for that. And I don't know if you guys are horror fans, but my fiance's a horror writer. She also does a horror blog on top of that. If you want to check out her stuff and you really like horror, go to
I'm sorry. I thought he was going to say Nightmare Nookie.
I'm sorry. It's www.nightmarenook.horrorblog.com and check that out as well. And that's pretty much it, fellas. Thank you for having me on. God bless and take care and, you know, enjoy the holiday coming up. And, you know, don't do anything I would do, and you'll be fine.
On next week's Sports Entertainment Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to break down. We're going to take a look at Survivor Series and break down each one of the matches and give our predictions on which way the matches we believe are going to go. So if you guys want to get in on that, you know how to do it. You got to tune in next Thursday night right here on AOC and right here on WGS-TV. So with that being said, he's Nick Nene Fuquay. He's Mark the Smart Traha, and I am your friendly neighborhood wrestle gamer, Double B Billy Boudreaux, saying we'll see you next week right here from Sports Entertainment Tonight. Bye, everybody.